Part 131. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1301. Some people were talking fiercely, some were laughing, some were drinking to excess, and some were sitting in the corner with a gloomy face, looking dejected. All kinds of people were playing out in the bar. Lin Yi observed silently, took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. While enjoying the food on the table, he observed the situation around him. At the same time, he was collecting various news in his ears. The jade box containing the fragments of the true destiny was not big, only 10 centimeters long and only about 4 centimeters wide, a very small long box. At this time, the box had been put in his pocket. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow method build the situation of. Lin Yi sat quietly in his seat, listening to the information around him, and sorting out the clues bit by bit. Time always passed quickly, and a few hours passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Yi also got a lot of useful things. First of all, this mysterious space was called the safe zone by them. The safe zone is located in the death boundary, but for some reason, it can be exempted from the swallowing of the death boundary. However, the safe zone is not absolutely safe. Every night, it may have a certain degree of connection with the time and space of the death boundary. At this time, unknown existences or zombies may invade. In the face of invasion, everyone must rise up to resist and rely on the defense system. As long as you persist for a certain period of time, this connection will gradually weaken, and eventually the death boundary will be completely separated from the safe zone again. Even if they are in a connected state, the power of unknown existences or zombies entering the safe zone will be suppressed in a special way. This makes it easier for people in the safe zone to survive the dangers at night. Therefore, the safe zone retains many people, but there is a condition for living here. Newcomers can have a month of free residence time. If it exceeds 1 month, they have to pay for the fragments of their true life. If you don't want to pay, you have to leave the town with a defense system and survive in the wilderness of the safe zone. If you are lucky, you can survive. If you are unlucky, you may fall when facing the connection with the death world. The reason for this expulsion rule is to maintain the operation of the entire defense system. After all, you need resources to do anything, and building a defense system on the scale of a small town is a huge expense. For the consumed materials, each person must contribute at least 1 true life fragment every day. After the free period, people usually go to the death boundary to find a large amount of materials, send them back to the safe zone in exchange for true life fragments, and then pay the true life fragments to obtain the qualification to survive here. The entire safe point has formed its own set of survival rules, and all those who violate it will be ruthlessly expelled. Newcomers are undoubtedly the luckiest. They have a 30-day discount time to allow them to familiarize themselves with the operating rules here. There is even a special guide for newcomers, which is on the notice board of this bar, and you can pick one up at will. There is a detailed guide for newcomers in it, how to survive in the death boundary, where there are supplies. Which places are dangerous? What should I do when night comes? Each item is written clearly, without any concealment at all. Lin Yi also took out a novice manual, flipped through it alone, and sorted out various information. The information he heard just now is also described in detail in the newcomer manual. At this time, he was reading the most important survival guide in the newcomer's manual. This guide clearly states the choices for newcomers, which basically have only 2 directions: Lone Ranger or joining other groups. Joining other groups is the easiest way to survive, while being a Lone Ranger is the most dangerous. However, joining other groups will also have a price, and usually some contracts will be signed, such as the lowest income in the entire team. Unless you can show your great value, you can be distributed according to the normal team members. These groups are large and small, and the leader he is following is a group called Explorers. Their goal is to collect materials, knowledge, and everything from ancient ruins, and ultimately hope to save countless worlds and drive away the death border. They are also one of the largest forces in the safe zone. They even have their own members in multiple safe zones, not just the Western safe zone. Each safe zone has its own title. This is called the Western Safe Zone, and there are about 3 known safe zones recorded in the Newcomer's Manual. They are the Western Safe Zone, the Canyon Safe Zone, and the Swamp Safe Zone. These 3 safe zones are not far away, and the distance between them is about 10,000 kilometers. Not everyone can enter the safe zone. There seems to be a strange mechanism there. Only the truly alive can enter here, no living dead can enter here, except when the death boundary and the safe zone are connected. Lin Yi also saw the description of some organizations in the death boundary in the Newcomer Manual. Some living dead who think they are alive can even study spirit patterns, refine spirit pattern tools, and have their own organizations to resist those living dead and unknown existences. They think they have never died once and are living beings, but in fact they are also living dead, another kind, called free living dead. According to the description in the Newcomer Manual, the entire death boundary is like a stage. All the living dead play their own roles in it. The living dead are like evil, while the free living dead are like the righteous side. Justice and evil seem to be fighting forever. No one knows why all this is happening. Looking at the contents described in the Newcomer's Manual, Lin Yi naturally thought of the Holy Light Group, which is exactly the same as described above. Everyone seems to be very free and sober. But Lin Lin's incident has made Lin Yi know that all this is just an illusion, and those people are actually controlled as well. Imagine that these people think they are free and are resisting, but in fact they are just dancing under the control of others. What a sad and terrifying thing this is. Even the soul and will are twisted at will, and they don't know what they are, just like a puppet on the strings. The weird information made Lin Yi sigh slightly. The border of death is really too dangerous. At this time, Lin Yi had already enjoyed his lunch, holding a cup of ordinary drink, and had been sitting here observing. He already had some ideas about how to live in this safe zone. He discovered something from the Rookie Manual: the safe zone itself was absolutely safe. Although the safe zone had been breached before, even if the safe zone was breached, only the people inside died, and the safe zone itself had never been swallowed by the death boundary. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1302. This point is very attractive to him, which means that he may be able to build an eternal base here. With this base as the center, explore the entire death border and seize the essence that appears in the eternal battlefield. Even rebuild the Wanchaiwu and use his own abilities to exchange for what he wants. He vaguely had an idea in his mind, but if he wanted to open a store in a safe point, he had to buy a house or a vacant land first. And this requires a lot of expenses. If you want to buy land or houses, especially in a small town, you need true life fragments and merits. What is merit? That is the contribution made by guarding the safety of the town at night. Only after reaching enough merits can you be eligible to apply for purchase. Because once you have established your own shop, you can use the commercial price difference to exchange for additional true life fragments. You can get rid of the problem of risking your life to hunt for supplies in the outside world. Not everyone likes adventure. The more immortal people are, the more they pay attention to the safety of their lives. Soon, tonight's time will come. Lin Yi chose to sign up for the guard mission this night. There is a council in the town in the western safety point. The council is built by several organizations in the town. They are mainly responsible for the operation of the town. All expenses are transparent and there is no black box operation. Every time the defense system is turned on, how much money is spent and how much materials are consumed, everything is clearly visible. Although everyone has to hand in a true life fragment every day, no one is dissatisfied or refuses. The calculation of merit is also issued after the review of the council. If you want to buy an open space or a building, the minimum merit is 10,000 points. Every night watch, if it is Christmas Eve and there is no danger, the guard can get 1 merit and a true life fragment. If there is danger, the merit and reward will be adjusted differently according to the number of invaders killed. This mechanism solves the guarding problem of the Western safety point very well. If you want to survive here, you have to work hard. This task is relatively safer than going out to explore alone or in a group. So this job is very popular. Once the recruitment of night watchmen begins, they will be recruited in a short time. As a newcomer, Lin Yi has a priority. In this month, he can keep watch every day, and the quota is automatic, and will not occupy other people's quota. Lin Yi will naturally not refuse such a good thing, and he even wants to complete the accumulation of merits within a month. The registration location is at the city gate. The blue-skinned bearded man guarding the gate saw Lin Yi registering and showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. "Are you going to keep watch tonight? You have only been here for less than a day." In response to the blue-skinned bearded man's inquiry, Lin Yi smiled, "If you don't work hard when you are young, you will regret it when you are old. I have 30 days of priority. If you don't know how to use it, it would be really stupid." Hearing Lin Yi's words, the bearded man smiled. "Okay, it's great that you think so. Many newcomers are afraid of death and have to go out to take risks after 30 days. As a result, they died outside because of lack of experience or bad luck. These 30 days are not only a priority, but also allow you to familiarize yourself with the combat methods of the entire death frontier. If you can survive, even if you go out alone in the future, your chance of survival will increase a lot. It's a pity that too few people understand this truth. Just follow me tonight. I'm quite experienced and at least I won't step into the trap." Lin Yi laughed when he heard it. "Then I'll trouble you." The big bearded man laughed and said heroically, "No trouble, more friends, more roads, I'm optimistic about you." The recruitment went smoothly. Basically, at least 200 people were needed to guard the city wall every night. Everyone was assigned an area, and they looked outside with solemn faces. At this time, the light that permeated the safe point had disappeared. Lin Yi stood next to the big bearded man, less than 10 meters apart. The bearded man's voice sounded in his ears, "You haven't collected a complete set of spiritual pattern tools yet." Lin Yi nodded slightly, "Yes, because I just came here and don't have much income." "Then be careful, don't waste your own true power rashly. If you encounter an enemy, try to use sneak attacks. When you accumulate enough merits and true life fragments, you can buy suitable spiritual pattern tools in the bar. To collect a set of spiritual pattern tools, at least 1000 true life fragments are needed. If you really guard for a month, as long as your luck is not too bad, you can get at least 2 spiritual pattern tools. It is best to choose something that can complement your original true life, which will greatly increase your survival rate in future explorations of the death boundary." Lin Yi heard that this was a talk of experience, and smiled slightly. "I understand, thank you for your advice." Just then, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Something is coming, everyone be careful." Hearing this, everyone suddenly became nervous. The bearded man's face was slightly serious. "Lin Yi, you have to be careful too, try not to leave me too far later. We support each other." Lin Yi nodded slightly, "Okay. Remember, no matter what the target is, you must use the power of your true destiny to completely disintegrate the opponent. If you see the true destiny, you must bind them with the power of the true destiny. After the war, these true destiny will be useful." Lin Yi narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this. What will be the final outcome of these true destiny? The bearded man took a look and said with a gloomy face, "These true lives are controlled by unknown mysterious existences. With our power, we cannot eliminate this unknown power. So we will use special methods to destroy these true lives and turn them into true life fragments. Although these true life fragments will also carry these unknown powers. Only by using different true life fragments can a brand new true life be pushed out again. At the moment of the birth of the true life, the brand new true life will burst out with power beyond imagination. This powerful power can wash away the mysterious power covering the fragments. At the same time, it will also expel the original will of the true life. Legend has it that after these wills are expelled from the fragments, they will disappear from this world. But they are not dead, but enter some unknown cycle. In the future, their will gradually recover in this cycle and regain their original will. But I have never seen anyone revived. Because there is no true life, it is difficult for me to understand how they can wake up in the real land. However, this is also a relief for them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Luan Tianji. Chapter 1303. Listening to the words of the bearded man, Lin Yi was silent. The content of these words was very strange. It was hard to tell whether they were true or false. Reading. But he did not argue, but nodded silently. Here they come, be careful. A vigilant voice came from his ear. The eyes of the guards on the city wall fell on the outside of the city wall, and shadows walked out of the darkness represented by the border of death. Most of these figures seemed to be human, with gloomy faces, staring at the people on the city wall. There was anger and tyranny in their eyes, and some looked calm and without any emotion. Some of these people also held spiritual pattern tools in their hands, and they also had their original wisdom. More and more people walked out of the darkness from all directions, and the number reached at least hundreds. But they did not launch an attack rashly, but kept walking outside the city wall, as if observing something. Soon, a brilliant true light of life rose on the city wall, blocking the entire town inside. A woman in a black dress, judging from her appearance, she is less than 19 years old, with a beautiful appearance, and she is definitely a goddess-level figure in modern society. A faint dark green light permeated her body, and the light trembled like a torrent, spreading out from her body and sweeping towards the entire city wall. Wherever the light passed, Lin Yi was surprised to find that the rocks and land on the ground were turning black and rotten. The bearded man sneered, "This kind of living dead who has mastered the true destiny of the decay type is not easy to deal with at all. If there is no defense system in the town, it will be difficult for us to stop the siege of these guys." The dark green decayed light hit the defensive light of the town like a torrent. Just like a torrent hitting a river bank, it did not produce any effect in the end. The dark green true destiny light can only echo on the defensive light rising in the town, but it can never break it, or even shake it. The woman's attack seemed to be a signal. One after another, various attacks came in turn and continuously fell on the defensive brilliance of the town. But the town's defense system did not know what kind of power it was, and all these attacks seemed unable to break it. At this time, the voice of the bearded man sounded, "Get ready to attack." As he said that, 6 different spiritual pattern tools had floated on his body. He raised his hand and tapped one of the blue spiritual pattern tools, which was a blue jade plate. With the injection of his true destiny, the terrifying power broke out. In the blue light, a brilliance like lightning flew out, directly crossing countless distances, ignoring the spatial effect, and hitting a man in ancient clothes. This blue lightning seemed to have the property of decomposing everything. The man who was hit directly collapsed on the spot and turned into countless ashes. A brilliance of true destiny appeared where the man died. Lin Yi also noticed that the dead did not leave behind the mysterious brilliance essence. No essence. It seems that the essence will not appear in this safe spot. The spiritual pattern device in the safe spot is obviously different from the spiritual pattern device in the death boundary. Both carry different things. One contains essence and ink condensed from various materials. The other is a spiritual pattern device that is completely constructed from the fragments of the true destiny and then refined. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi thought in his heart, these seem to be two different directions of the spiritual pattern device. Essence is what those mysterious beings need, so it won't be lost in the safe spot. Seeing this, Lin Yi took a deep breath and understood something in his eyes. The battle outside gradually became white-hot, and a figure rushed to the bottom of the town wall. Some figures climbed up the wall. Unexpectedly, they climbed up the wall and were not blocked by the town's defensive brilliance. It seems that the defensive true destiny brilliance cannot prevent them from entering the range of the wall. However, through the true destiny, Lin Yi could see that once they entered the town, their breath and true destiny fluctuations would be suppressed by at least half. At this time, a shirtless man appeared in front of him. The man was full of illusory colors. He seemed to be extremely strong, but in fact, he was illusory and repeatedly in a state that could never be approached. He grabbed Lin Yi, and Lin Yi frowned and dodged the attack. His left hand was filled with the light of the true destiny, and he slapped the opponent's abdomen with one palm. But the mysterious strong man didn't seem to care about his attack, and rushed towards Lin Yi in the face of his attack. His eyes were filled with cold fighting will, fearless. Lin Yi slapped the opponent's abdomen with one palm, and then he was surprised to find that his attack did not cause any harm to the opponent. The opponent was not at his level, and the true destiny could not touch him, so he could not hurt him. At this time, the opponent's hand was in front of him, as if he wanted to grab him. Facing this kind of attack, Lin Yi would naturally not let the other party touch him. Who knows what the result will be? True destiny is boundless, and true destiny perseverance is activated in an instant. In an instant, he becomes an untouchable existence. The big man's illusory hand passed through Lin Yi, and his face obviously showed a hint of surprise. At this time, the power of the true destiny solution flashed in Lin Yi's eyes, and he saw through countless layers of time and space and locked his level. The true destiny boundless flickered slightly, and the next moment, he had entered the same level as the other party, breaking through the limitations of space. A hand silently grabbed the other party's palm. The power of the true destiny root burst out at the moment of grabbing the other party. Before the big man could react, his right hand turned into a piece of rock. At the same time, his body flashed rapidly again, and the twisted power seemed to be even stronger. The other party's existence form has also changed. He began to jump continuously in countless time and space levels, as if trying to get rid of Lin Yi's lock. But Lin Yi's true destiny solution always locked him, no matter which time and space level he went to. The true destiny boundless can also make Lin Yi always keep up with him, no matter how the other party jumps, it is useless. In the end, the power of the true destiny root spread all the way to this person's body. No matter what time and space level he went to, he would be tracked by Lin Yi at all times. Bang! With a dull thud, the black statue shattered. A ball of true fate emitting a miraculous glow appeared in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi's hand was filled with the power of the true fate's source, and he grabbed it. The true fate did not struggle, as if it had no will at all, and fell easily into his control. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Luan Tianji. Chapter 1304. The bearded man on the side glanced at Lin Yi in surprise. He didn't expect that the other party ended the war so easily. The type of real life just now is very difficult to deal with. If there is no targeted restraint method, you can't even touch the opponent. The bearded man couldn't help but admired, "What a beautiful job." Lin Yi smiled slightly and said, "It's just a small trick." After finishing speaking, he looked at the others, and the battlefield was still in full swing without stopping for a moment. Lin Yi firmly stayed in his position, neither outstanding nor weak. The walls of the safe point are filled with all kinds of life-giving radiances, which are constantly colliding and spreading with each other. This is a very beautiful and dangerous battle. All kinds of true power were flashing in front of Lin Yi's eyes, attracting part of his attention. Suddenly, the voice of the final order system sounded. Bound ones, please be careful. An unknown entity is observing the battlefield. After that, unknown events may happen at any time. Please be bound and be prepared to escape at any time to avoid irreversible consequences. Hearing this, Lin Yi's expression froze. His voice sounded slowly in the bearded ear, be careful, I feel something is wrong. At this time, Big Beard was taking turns using his spiritual weapon to attack the living dead under the city wall. Hearing Lin Yi's words, his expression froze slightly, and he raised his hand and pointed at a mirror in front of him. The mirror emits a mysterious light, illuminating the entire safe spot in an instant. All people, all objects, and all breaths appear in this mirror. The mirror was undergoing a fierce evolution, and finally turned into a pair of strange eyes, with a picture in their eyes. The content of this scroll is clearly a safe spot in the West. The living dead people in the scroll began to undergo strange changes. They began to mutate rapidly, turning into various monsters, with the only thing left being their original faces. The bearded man looked shocked when he saw this scene. He just heard him shout loudly, everyone, be careful, they are about to enter the second stage of change. Hearing this, the guards on the city wall all looked nervous. The next moment, something terrible happened. The living dead outside, just like the picture displayed in the bearded mirror, began to undergo strange changes. Everything in the mirror just now was actually a prediction of the future. Some of the bodies of the living dead became twisted, some turned into giant monsters, and some turned into some kind of insect-like shape. Others turned into shapeless monsters. But their faces are still their faces, looking so weird. The extremely terrifying scene made everyone feel frightened. The next moment, these living dead who had turned into monsters attacked again. This time, the power they exuded was even more powerful, and a torrent of attacks fell continuously on the town's defense. The mighty power landed one blow after another, causing the light curtain to tremble continuously. These monsters also continued to climb up the city wall, and the hand-to-hand combat had begun. The violent light of life was flashing, and Lin Yi was also facing a mutated monster. This is a mantis-like being, 3 meters long, with hard scales all over its body, and sickle-like limbs growing on its 2 arms. His whole body was filled with a black and rotten aura. This smell gave Lin Yi a familiar yet unfamiliar feeling. His brows twitched slightly, the strange incidents, those twisted true lives, and the evil feeling emanating from them. At this point, he couldn't help but take a deep breath and cheer up. The mantis-like monster stared closely at Lin Yi. In Lin Yi's eyes, the brilliance of his true destiny had penetrated his inside and outside. No secrets can be hidden. There are 3 true lives in this monster's body, and these 3 true lives have undergone strange changes at this time. The true destiny is covered with a layer of unknown mysterious fluctuations, coming from those managers. At this time, these 3 true lives were distorted and expanded to varying degrees, and a strange black line appeared on them. They look very similar to those in the Kaiden incident, but there are also obvious differences. That is, these monsters seem to be directly killable, which is obviously different from those indestructible ghost stories. Suddenly, the monster disappeared in front of Lin Yi in a flash. When it appeared again, it was already in front of Lin Yi. A sharp sickle-like thorn had already pierced Lin Yi's chest. There was a layer of black and terrifying true life attached to it, which was rapidly consuming Lin Yi's true power. Lin Yi frowned slightly, and in a flash he was next to the monster, slapping it with his palm. The next moment, strange eyes fell on him, and an inexplicable force suppressed him instantly, making him unable to move. Frowning slightly, he tore through this restraint with a flash of his real life. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the monster, with 2 fingers inserted directly into the monster's eyes. The power of the true source of life exploded, and the monster's head turned into rock. Lin Yi exerted a little force, and his petrified face was dug out in an instant and turned into a piece of powder. 2 black sickles came from his left and right. Cut him into 3 halves. But unfortunately, the true destiny is boundless and still immune to everything, and the damage has no effect. Lin Yi waved his hands and directly grabbed the opponent's 2 sickle arms. When the true destiny root was running to a certain extent, it instantly overwhelmed the opponent's true destiny. The sickle arm turned into rock, and the huge monster was still struggling frantically, as if trying to get rid of Lin Yi's control. But unfortunately, the monster's arms shattered in the struggle. Lin Yi appeared in various positions around the monster like a god of death. The monster's body was being destroyed at an alarming speed. Although it had 3 different true destinies, it did not recover. The loss of the body seemed to affect the use of its true destiny. Finally, after just a dozen breaths, it was torn into countless pieces and completely lost its ability to resist. At this time, the big bearded man next to him had just solved his enemy, and was also surprised to see Lin Yi's clean and neat means. Awesome! Facing the big bearded man's surprise, Lin Yi's attention was already on the death monster. There were 3 strange true lives with black lines appearing in front of him. The power of the true life source had enveloped them, along with the true life he had just harvested. At this time, only half an hour had passed since the battle began. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1305. The battle was in full swing, and some defenders on the town walls were in danger, but these people were very cunning and had made various preparations, and almost no one died. As long as there is danger, special spiritual patterns such as escape or true life will be activated immediately. It is quite difficult for Zhang to let them die. After they escaped, the city wall would not fail because there were a large number of people below watching them. As long as someone is defeated, someone will immediately make up for it. The person who makes up for it must have the ability to restrain the monsters on that section of the city wall. This has basically become a unique fighting mode. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Running away is not wrong, it's about making room for others who have the ability to exercise restraint. After Lin Yi killed 2 living dead, the bearded voice sounded in his ears. You can go down now. With your record, no one will comment. Our vigil does not have to last until the 2nd day. As long as we have achieved enough merits, we can temporarily retreat. After all, there are many people who want to earn merit. Lin Yi nodded slightly when he heard the words, I understand, thank you. At this time, many people at safe spots under the city wall were waiting there, waiting for someone to vacate a space. Lin Yi did not retreat immediately, but started fighting the 2 living dead monsters again. After a seemingly hard battle, he finally captured them. Only then did he abdicate and return to a safe point. Others took his place and began to fight fiercely. At this time, Lin Yi looked at the 8 true lives in his hand. 7 of them were filled with strange twisted lines, which looked very abnormal. The night was not long. After the battle basically lasted for about 3 hours, the monsters outside seemed to retreat. The mysterious observing being seems to have taken no further action. At this time, someone was already shouting, I guess everything will be fine tonight. Let's go and exchange for merit. Lin Yi looked at the people around him. They all showed excitement on their faces and rushed towards the bar. He himself quickly followed them. He wanted to see what these people wanted to do. 3 minutes later, everyone returned to the bar, numbering at least 700 or 800 people. Fortunately, the bar was big enough to accommodate so many people silently, and every table was filled with people. There are already many people waiting in line at the bar. There were even 5 identical bartenders appearing at the bar. This must be some kind of true power. These people are the ones who captured their true lives on the battlefield. Soon it was Lin Yi's turn, and the bartender looked at him and smiled. "It seems like you got a good harvest tonight," the bartender said with a smile on his face as he looked at Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded. "It's not bad." As he said that, he took out the real life in his hand, 10 in total. The bartender had a serious look on his face, and took out a strange mirror in his hand. He glanced at these real lives, and at the same time a suction force exploded, sucking these real lives into it. Then, he looked up at Lin Yi, and a jade plaque appeared silently in his hand. "Your first guard job has been successfully completed. From now on, you will be able to receive the identity badge in the save point. This jade card contains your merit points. As a newcomer, your merit points on the first night are 1 point. You killed 4 living dead, according to save point regulations. The value of a living dead is 5 merit points, a total of 20 merit points. Today all your achievements are blackjack. Of the 8 true hits you harvested, 7 are true lives that are in the second stage of living dead transformation. The calculated price is 630 life fragments." As he spoke, a row of jade boxes appeared in front of him, 7 in total. There are a total of 630 life fragments in these 7 jade boxes. "Please keep them." Lin Yi nodded slightly, collected all these jade boxes, and put them in his pocket. However, he felt that these jade boxes were inconvenient to collect. The bartender also noticed it and said with a smile on his face, "I have a spiritual pattern weapon here, which is a bracelet of space nature. You can create space inside to store various things, and you can also create space to trap enemies. However, it is not a complete world, so it cannot be used as a base for cultivation. The price is about 100 life fragments. Are you interested in buying one?" Lin Yi nodded slightly when he heard this. "If you are interested, sell one to me." The bartender raised his hand and a silver bracelet appeared in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi picked up the bracelet, paid 100 pieces of true life, and then poured the power of true into the bracelet. He was surprised to find that there was a huge space-time in the bracelet. Although there is nothing in this space and time, only pure space, it is enough for him to use. With a thought, a mysterious light enveloped the pocket on his body. In addition to the 7 jade boxes he just got, he also has the jade box with fragments of life that he got after selling the 2 spiritual patterns of the hiding order. There are 7 boxes of true life fragments floating quietly in the vast space. With a movement in his heart, these jade boxes opened with a bang, and pieces of true life fragments floated out from them, floating in the vast space. These true lives are of various kinds, emitting faint radiances, and there are a lot of chaotic consciousness hidden in these true life fragments. These true life fragments are not what they originally looked like, but have been transformed into spiritual patterns. The chaotic and broken consciousness is hidden deep in these spiritual patterns. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with the radiance of the true life, and he found a place to sit down at random and began to observe the spiritual patterns of these true life fragments. In the continuous observation, he was understanding the structure of the spiritual patterns bit by bit. As time passed, he gradually unraveled the cocoon and saw the full picture of the spiritual patterns. The true life fragments are not real fragments, but a complete eternal nature. It's just that this eternal nature is separated from the true life. It contains a part of the consciousness of the original true life owner, and this unconsciousness is hidden in the core of the eternal nature, which cannot be awakened and has no autonomy. This eternal nature is very strange, containing the characteristics of the true life after transformation. Although it is an eternal nature, after being separated from the true life, this characteristic belonging to the true life will not disappear. The so-called spiritual pattern is this characteristic, which makes the eternal nature become a special structure. The spiritual pattern was not invented by anyone, but something that was naturally formed after the eternal nature of the true destiny was divided. The eternal nature of the spiritual pattern also has a peculiar effect. That is, it is constantly combined with different spiritual patterns, and information will flow between them. If this flow forms a perfect cycle, a new true destiny will be generated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Luan Tianji. Chapter 1306. In the process of generating true destiny, the original residual consciousness information will be cleaned up and become a pure true destiny without any owner. Read. This magical change made Lin Yi's heart slightly excited. This means that he does not need to let the eternal nature start from zero to breed and transform the true destiny. The process of the eternal nature transforming from zero to true destiny is very dangerous. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. This process requires the subjective consciousness of life to be integrated into it. Once the transformation of true destiny fails, it means the arrival of death. When on earth, in order to breed infinite true destiny, Lin Yi also used the immortality of true destiny several times. On the surface, it seems that it is easy for him to condense infinite true destiny, but in fact, it was only after his consciousness died several times that he succeeded. But the appearance of the spirit pattern made him see a new way to condense true destiny. Even Sakuramiya Shirley and others can quickly condense true destiny and gain the ability to help him in this world. This is really a pleasant surprise. Thinking of this, his true destiny solution will start to work rapidly. In the next few days, he will master all the information of the 730 true destiny fragments in his hand. Then he will deduce and try to deduce several perfect true destinies, preferably complementary to each other, and make use of Sakuramiya Shirley and others. It is not easy to earn merits and true destiny fragments here by yourself, and it takes a lot of time. But if you can make use of all the people in the Wanchaiwu, you can get a lot of merits and true destiny fragments in a short time, and then continue to invest. This is the real virtuous circle. Thinking of this, he no longer wastes time, but starts to deduce wholeheartedly. A month passed in a blink of an eye. Almost every night Lin Yi would keep watch and earn true destiny fragments and merits. During this period, he encountered 4 or 5 attacks from the living dead. Every time Lin Yi could get hundreds of true destiny fragments. At this time, the true destiny fragments he had reached 4,000. His merit also increased to 146 points, but it is still a long way from 10,000 merit points. However, so many true destiny fragments also brought him huge gains. That is, he successfully deduced 7 true destinies. Each true destiny is composed of 81 true destiny fragments. And these 7 true destinies are a complete set of functions. No matter who gets them, they can immediately form combat power. This set of true destiny includes 7 aspects: short-range attack, defense, movement, treatment, assistance, long-range attack, and special. When Lin Yi deduced these true destinies, he found that 81 eternal properties were easier to deduce true destinies. Once it reaches 108, it will be very difficult, and there will be various problems and conflicts. As for 365, it is even more difficult. Judging from the true destiny fragments he currently has, there is no use at all. This is because as long as the true destiny fragments are put together, they will automatically enter a contact cycle. According to the gradual increase in the number, if the information of the cycle is reasonable, when it reaches the appropriate number, the true destiny will take shape, and if it is not appropriate, it will collapse, greatly reducing the time consumption of calculating the true destiny. Through the true destiny solution, he grasped the information of all the true destiny fragments. Only by finding the true destiny fragments that are most likely to be integrated and reducing the difficulty of the integration of the true destiny, can he deduce 7 true destinies in just 1 month? At this time, he has already selected the first person to use these true destinies. He left the gate of the safe point and came to a hill outside the town. He raised his hand and waved, and a perfect human body structure appeared in front of him, which was Brandy. A ray of consciousness was gently touched by Lin Yi and sent into Brandy's body. Brandy slowly woke up, and then the brilliance of 7 true destinies appeared on his body. His eyes were confused, and then gradually clear. Unbelievably looking at his hands, is this the power of the true destiny? It's really amazing. Lin Yi looked at him and smiled slightly. From now on, you have also entered the level of the true destiny. In the future, you can continue to deduce a more perfect and better true destiny through the fragments of the true destiny, and replace these weak true destinies. Let's go to a safe place first. Next, you have to use your newcomer privileges to earn as many merits as possible. We want to rebuild the Wanchaiwu, no matter where it is our home. Bai Yan's face was serious. Yes, boss. Lin Yi smiled slightly and took Bai Lan to a safe place. The blue-skinned bearded man who was guarding the door looked at Lin Yi. You brought a newcomer. Lin Yi nodded slightly. Yes, he is my friend. I didn't expect to meet him here. So I brought him here. Although you brought him, you still have to be inspected. This is the rule, the bearded man said seriously. Of course, no problem, Lin Yi replied with a smile on his face. Soon Brandy and Lin Yi passed the inspection and followed Lin Yi back to the bar. In the following days, everyone in the western town knew that Lin Yi had found a companion, and helped him gain a foothold in the town. Time always passed quickly, and more than half a year passed in the blink of an eye. A strange thing happened in the town. A man named Lin Yi brought several newcomers one after another. Each newcomer was very powerful and had potential, possessing 4 or 5 kinds of true power. Each time they took action, several people worked together, and they earned a lot of merit in a short period of time. During the night vigil, they also went out as a group, killing a large number of living dead monsters every time. Western Safety Point, Review Center. This is where people in the town who want to buy land must come to register. The evaluation center is a small independent 2-story house. It is not big, only about 100 square meters. This is also a wooden structure, and the inside looks like a business hall. When you enter it, you can see a counter dividing the room into 2 halves. Behind the counter is a female staff member, reading a book boredly. Lin Yi and a group of people came here, and the female staff member was shocked. She looked up at Lin Yi and the people behind him, with a hint of surprise on her face. What's the matter with you? Lin Yi looked at her and smiled slightly. My friends and I want to buy a piece of land here. We want to build a new force. This woman has long red hair, a typical Western race, blue eyes, tall body, delicate skin, and equally delicate appearance. A smile appeared on her face. Have you done enough? Lin Yi nodded slightly. The salary of several of us has reached 10,000 points. Are you going to buy it together? Lin Yi smiled slightly. Yes. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1307. The female staff member nodded slightly and took out a contract and map. This is the contract, just write your names. This is a map. You can choose a piece of land with an area of no more than 100 square meters. Lin Yi spread out the map. On the map was a circular map of a small town. This is an aerial view of the Western Safety Point, about 1 kilometer in diameter. There are small square shapes inside, 70% of which have turned red, which means occupied positions. The remaining 30% are still blank, but the location does not seem to be very good, basically located on the edge of the town. Lin Yi glanced around and chose an open space closest to Central Street. In the entire Western Safety Point, there are only 4 internal roads, which are shaped like a cross and divide the town into 4 parts. The land Lin Yi chose was in the south, close to the city wall. If it were a city where ordinary people live in the real world, this kind of location would undoubtedly be the worst. But unfortunately, this is not a human city, and the location is not important. Lin Yi chose a seat, and the staff looked at him and smiled. "Are you sure you choose this place? If you are sure, I will go through the process now, and I can't change it later." Lin Yi nodded slightly. "Choose here." "Okay, please give me your identity tags, and I will deduct your merits." Lin Yi, Brandy, Sakuragi Shirley, and others placed their identity badges in front of the staff one after another. The staff looked at these ID badges and immediately began to work hard. A few minutes later, a document was placed in front of Lin Yi. "From now on, the land at this location belongs to you. You can do anything as long as it doesn't endanger the security of the safe spot." Lin Yi smiled slightly and took the document. 20 minutes later, a group of them arrived at the vacant land on the South Street. Several people stood in front of this land, with a hint of complexity on their faces. Lin Yi raised his hand and waved, and Wan Chiwu, who was in a spiritual state, appeared on the ground. A few flashes and it becomes a substantial house. Ring ring ring. Lin Yi pushed open the door and walked in. A familiar scene appeared in front of everyone, and everyone returned to their familiar positions. Sakura Miyashiri, brandy, Lafite red wine, absinthe, vodka, gin, whiskey, and Lao Wei, the 8 people's faces changed. In a short period of time, they have experienced several apocalyptic disasters. Now, they finally came to a temporarily safe place. The appearance of the Wanchaiwu gave them a sense of belonging again, an illusion of home. Lin Yi's voice sounded slowly. "Starting tomorrow, Wanchaiwu will reopen for business. But the world has changed, and all missions in the future will be dangerous. You all need to be prepared. I will make many clone bodies for you to use. In order to complete the task, we must use the true life that can copy and project consciousness to control these clones to complete the task and avoid risks as much as possible. Everyone can use the real life in rotation according to the needs of the mission. The real life should not go out casually." Lin Yi formulated the rules for the future operation of Wanchaiwu, and everyone nodded silently. In the House of Everything, the real life, except his own, will become a weapon that can be used in turn. A few days passed in the blink of an eye, and the latest Wanchaiwu house in the western town attracted a lot of people's attention. Especially the fine wine in the Wanchaiwu house, which Lin Yi recreated using the source of his true life, attracted a large number of drunkards. The price of spiritual wine is very low. Basically, one life fragment can make people drink a complete set of 365 kinds of spiritual wine, 10 glasses of different wines every day, for a month. Although these spiritual wines do not have mysterious powers, they simply taste good. But it is also a good refreshment for people living in this depressing world. There are also many people who are willing to pay, which can bring a little profit to Wanchaiwu. At this time, the blue-bearded man was sitting at a wine table, sipping a glass of amber wine. The mellow smell of wine made him miss it so much. "This wine is so delicious. Ever since I entered the true gate and came to the true land, I have never tasted wine with spiritual energy. When you enter the border of death, alcohol becomes a luxury. It's not easy to get it. The world's supplies are really scarce. Boss Lin, I really don't know how you reproduce these wines in this world. It seems that you have mastered a lot of mysterious powers." Lin Yi smiled slightly. "It's a small skill, not worth mentioning. It just allows everyone to have fun, it doesn't have much effect." The blue-bearded man shook his head slightly. "Yes, since entering the true land, I was sucked into this weird boundary of death again, and I realized that my previous life was so comfortable. We live here like humans and ghosts, just like ants. My previous ambitions have been almost worn out. If I had a choice, I really wouldn't want to come to a world like this. It's such a hell of a life to go from being a top person to someone fighting to stay alive. Lin Yi looked at him with a smile on his face. What kind of world were you in before you entered the true land? When the blue-bearded man heard Lin Yi's words, his face was filled with memories. I used to be in a place called Blue Mist. It is shrouded in endless blue smoke all year round, and our race was born in this blue smoke. The blue smoke is integrated with spiritual energy, and we can master supernatural powers as soon as we are born. There are also worlds, continents, planets, universes, and countless prosperous civilizations. I climbed up to the top of Blue Mist step by step from humble beginnings, condensed the power of true destiny, and commanded Blue Mist for countless years. It's also my own stupidity. I live a leisurely and supreme life. But I thought about pursuing a higher peak of life, but I found the mysterious door of truth and entered the land of truth again. Which I thought that it was actually an ordinary planet. A universe without any supernatural power? A world? Or a mysterious level? I can't use my past knowledge to define the place I landed in. In the end, I can only call it the real place. Originally, this is nothing, but who made me reincarnate as a local life form when I came here, and these lives have life limits. My life was originally endless, but it was shortened to an unbearable level. If I didn't have countless knowledge, I would have built a technological system in that world with the power of true destiny, and extended the life of this body through the power of technology. I'm afraid I would have died. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1308. I died a long time ago because my body's lifespan was exhausted. Read. One day, a huge change occurred on the planet where I reincarnated. A black gate appeared on my planet. A large number of second-stage mutated zombie monsters rushed out of it and carried out an inhumane massacre on my planet. At that time, only some of us had the power of true destiny, and the other part was in the mystery of the womb. In order to cut off the invasion of the mysterious Black Gate, we concentrated all our efforts and launched a charge to see what was going on in this Black Gate. But the final result disappointed us very much. After we entered the death boundary, we were immediately tracked by unknown beings. Although we fled in all directions, I was the only one who escaped to the western safe point in the end. Others have completely lost contact. I have lived in the western safe point for more than 300 years. As he said, the blue-skinned bearded man sighed deeply. This life is getting more and more boring. I don't know how long I can hold on with my current mental state. At this time, there were still many people in the Wanchi house, and they listened silently to the words of the blue-skinned bearded man. The other party's origin was almost the same as theirs, and everyone came here for similar reasons. Everyone's mood was slightly low, and no one could bear to go from being high and mighty to a struggling ant. Lin Yi listened to the words of the blue-skinned bearded man, and a trace of thought appeared in his eyes. It seems that everyone entered the real land through the gate of truth. But the way of entering seems to be a little different. The planets they landed on from outside the real land seem to have a disaster after a period of time, and finally be involved in the death boundary. In other words, this is a long-term mechanism, from the world with spiritual energy, to the real land, and then to the death boundary, a complete harvesting system. The manipulators behind it are the mysterious crowns. What kind of existence are they? In this small town, no more information can be found. People here don't seem to know the existence of the crown. It should be luck that I was able to find out this kind of news last time. Life here is temporarily stable. Next, we need to explore the secrets of the death border. Find a way to escape from here, or a way to destroy the mastermind behind the death border. The death border incident should have lasted for many, many years. There should be many mysterious forces like the Spark organization. There must be more people who resist the death border. Accept various tasks through the Wanchaiwu, gradually establish connections here, and maybe you can get in touch with these forces and find out more useful information. Lin Yi has gradually made some plans for the future. Whether he likes it or not, he must resist the mysterious death border. The blue-skinned bearded man suddenly said, "Boss Lin, you said that your Xuanhuan seems to be able to help others solve problems. What is the rule here?" At this time, many people who were drinking stopped their glasses and looked at Lin Yi. Many of them came here, in addition to drinking, because they heard that this place can help others solve problems. But they are all smart people. They usually don't ask about such unclear things easily, so as not to expose their needs and be targeted. The words of the blue-skinned bearded man naturally aroused their interest. Lin Yi smiled slightly. "It's very simple. We accept your commission to solve the problems you want to solve but can't do. Of course. You have to pay the corresponding price. This price must be worth our people risking their lives to solve the trouble for you." Hearing this, everyone knew the nature of the Xuanhuan, which was similar to the existence of mercenaries. Some people couldn't help but have a thought in their hearts. What about the guarantee? This kind of work requires a high reputation. The guarantee is very simple. Sign a contract with a contractual true destiny. Violators will be hunted down by the contractual true destiny forever. Once the contract is violated, everyone will know that they can't stay in this Western stronghold. Hearing this, everyone's heart moved slightly. This kind of contract can restrain the people of the Xuanhuan, but the restraining ability for the guests is much smaller. If there is really a huge benefit, these guests may make a move behind the scenes, and then escape from the Western stronghold. As for the pursuit of the contractual true destiny, it is not completely unsolvable. At this time, Lin Yi smiled faintly. "You have also heard that this guarantee is more restrictive for us. But the guests who want to ask us to help should also understand that since I dare to do this kind of business, I am not afraid that you will default on your debts and do something dirty. No matter where you are, as long as you sign the contract and violate the content of the contract, I will definitely kill you, no matter where you hide." These people don't know that Lin Yi has the title of savior, and can exert amazing power with the contract-type true destiny. Once someone touches the contract, he can activate the contract with the power of the title holder. In the end, the power of the contract true destiny will be unlimitedly increased until the opponent is completely eliminated. The true life of the contract type is usually the power of the law of cause and effect, so it ignores any distance, time, and space. And this is where Lin Yi's confidence lies. The border of death is full of countless mysteries, and various mysterious relics or treasures emerge one after another. He absolutely believed that many people in this Western stronghold would be unable to obtain these useful materials due to their limited strength. The emergence of Xuanhuan can undoubtedly solve their urgent needs and bring them huge profits. They don't have to worry about the trouble caused by randomly looking for people. Regarding Lin Yi's bold words, they did not think that Lin Yi was talking big words. Everyone who is here is not a novice, and everyone has an extraordinary origin. They were in the past, before they entered the true land. Most of them are the masters of one party. They have experienced countless things and have been tempered by the sophistication of the world. They are not said to be cunning, but they are by no means a leak that can be manipulated by others. Naturally, one can see the confidence in Lin Yi's words. For Lin Yi's words, they believed at least 7 points. As for the remaining 3 points, they had to wait and see. The blue-bearded man was silent for a few minutes and said slowly, "I really need some help for something." Lin Yi smiled and said, "Depending on the content of the matter, the remuneration we want will naturally be different. Let's go inside and talk." With that said, he and the blue-bearded man disappeared into the hall. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1309. Lin Yi's bedroom has become an office, and the two of them are sitting in front of and behind the desk. Lin Yi said, "What do you want to do?" "I know a relic in the border of death. It will be dangerous to go in, but you will gain a lot. The relic should be left by an ancient organization. It is hidden in an underground coffin cave, and I discovered its existence by chance. But the seal there cannot be opened by my own power. I calculated that at least 3 strong men who have reached the level of shaking the world are needed to open the seal." Kailan raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled. "It is indeed very dangerous, and the reward cannot be low. Considering that the information is provided by you, I want at least 50% and then 2 people." The blue-skinned bearded man thought for a while. "Okay." Lin Yi smiled. "Okay, then sign the contract." As he said that, Lin Yi snapped his fingers, and Jin walked out of the door. He held 2 pieces of parchment in his hand, on which was a contract written by the power of true destiny. Lin Yi said, "This is a true destiny contract with the effect of causality. Leave your true destiny power as a mark. If the contract is violated, this contract will be activated, and the power of true destiny will always chase the violator until the other party is completely eliminated." The blue-skinned bearded man took the contract, took a closer look, raised his hand slightly, and a little true destiny light flashed and remained on the 2 contracts. "You can go out and pick people now. There are currently 7 people in our Wanchaiwu who can act. You can choose 2 of them to go with you. But each of them has their own autonomy, will not obey your orders, and will judge whether the mission can continue." The blue-skinned bearded man nodded slightly. "I understand. After all, no one can be cannon fodder." Lin Yi smiled faintly. "Since everyone understands, there is no problem." In a blink of an eye, the matter was settled, and the blue-skinned bearded man came to the hall with a contract. After staying here for so long, he naturally knew who was from the Wanchaiwu. His eyes fell on Brandy and Lao Wei, these 2 people he was most familiar with. He walked towards the 2 with a smile on his face. At the border of death, Lao Wei and Brandy came here using clones this time. The clones have their copied consciousness, using the power of some spiritual pattern device to copy their original consciousness. The copied consciousness and their own consciousness are connected through a special spiritual pattern device. They can share this clone remotely through the copy consciousness, and will not be affected by time and space. The 2 clones carry a total of 6 true lives. Each has an offensive true life, and the remaining 4 true lives are coordinated with each other. After all, it is a clone, and it cannot carry too many true lives, otherwise it will suffer heavy losses once it falls. At this time, they have entered the border of death with the blue-skinned bearded man and appeared in an underground death cave. There are dense coffins here, dead silence, and darkness. Led by the blue-skinned bearded man, they quickly passed through dozens of connected underground caves and came to a special place. This cave is very strange, with blue ghost fires floating everywhere, making this cave even more terrifying. Brandy and Lao Wei were both startled, but they immediately suppressed the fear in their hearts and quietly followed the blue-skinned bearded man to the center of the cave. This place is still full of coffins, and there is nothing strange about it. After the blue-skinned bearded man came here, he stopped carefully and stood in front of an ordinary black coffin. He pushed the coffin open, and Brandy and Lao Wei next to him looked at the scene inside the coffin and were suddenly surprised. Because there was a passage in the coffin that led to deeper underground. The 2 people who saw the scene instantly flashed a flash of understanding. This is the dark under the lamp. Put the entrance to the mysterious ruins under the coffin, and no one will doubt it. The blue-skinned bearded man jumped in, and Brandy and Lao Wei followed him, and carefully closed the lid of the coffin again. I don't know when the stairs were built. After so many years, they are still intact, and there is not even a trace of dust on them. Da-da-da. There was only the sound of their footsteps in the darkness, and their own magnetic field was spreading around. The surrounding scenes were clearly reflected in their minds, and the darkness would not hinder their actions. Soon they came to the end of the stairs, and a black door appeared in front of them. There was a mysterious pattern on the door, a being that looked like a Buddha, sitting on a piece of hell. He exuded infinite golden light, suppressing the countless monsters below, which looked like the second stage of the transformation of the living dead. They had the faces of intelligent life, and behind their faces were strange and terrifying appearances. Seeing this scene, Lao Wei frowned slightly. Why do I feel that there may be danger behind this door? The blue-skinned bearded man nodded slightly. There is indeed a high probability of danger. According to my analysis, this door may have existed for more than 1 trillion years. Even if there is something inside, it should have been worn away in this long time. After all, this is not the spiritual world we originally lived in. Life is very short. Even with the changes in technological power, if you want to live for trillions of years, you need countless resources. Behind this door, there should be a closed space, which is impossible to have so many resources. So the probability of danger inside is greatly reduced. This door itself is composed of real spiritual patterns, a total of 365 real spiritual patterns. If we break it, we can get at least 365 real spiritual patterns. The so-called real spiritual patterns correspond to the virtual spiritual patterns. The real spiritual patterns are composed of fragments of true destiny. The virtual spiritual patterns are composed of ink fused with various materials and essences, compiled according to the information of the real spiritual patterns. There is an essential difference between the two. Just like the spiritual pattern tools, they are also divided into real and virtual. Real spiritual pattern tools are basically only held by people in safe spots. Virtual spiritual pattern tools are almost all held by those living dead in the death boundary. The power of a virtual soul weapon is basically 50% weaker than that of a real soul weapon, and the conditions for making it are also much simpler. The 2 soul weapons that Lin Yi sold to the tavern were both virtual soul weapons, so they were only worth 100 real-life fragments. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1310. The gate in front of us is made of real spirit patterns. Read. It can generate real power continuously, thus maintaining the existence of the seal. A trace of eagerness appeared in the eyes of the blue-skinned bearded man. Let's start. No matter what the result is, we will at least not lose. Brandy and Lao Wei looked at each other, and then they also raised their hands. 3 offensive true destiny lights rose in an instant and all fell on this mysterious seal. The light of the true destiny was directly raised to the extreme by them. To break this spirit pattern seal, the most correct way is to instantly increase the power to exceed its carrying limit. Facing the attacks of 3 true destinies, this gate instantly bloomed with a golden light. But this light quickly appeared countless cracks under the attack of the 3 true destinies, and finally shattered. The gate was also shattered at the moment of the golden light shattering, turning into 365 real spirit patterns. The 3 true destiny lights directly enveloped these real spirit patterns, allowing them to divide them all. At this time, a deep passage appeared behind the door, and no one knew where it led to. A gloomy wind slowly blew out from it. The 3 looked at each other, stepped forward, and disappeared in this dark passage. They didn't know what danger they would encounter next. In the Wanchaiwu, many drunkards were drinking spirit wine. Since the blue-skinned big beard left, they have been here, and they never left even when night came. Playing cards, enjoying food, drinking wine, bragging and farting, so happy. But Lin Yi knew what they were doing. They were waiting for news from the blue-skinned big beard. They wanted to see what the first single task of the Wanchaiwu would end up like. Today is the 3rd day since the blue-skinned big beard and the 3 people left. Ringing ringing. The door of the Wanchaiwu opened, and the blue-skinned big beard, Lao Wei, and Brandy's clones all came back. The 3 were beaming with joy, and it was obvious that they had gained a lot. Some people's eyes lit up, and some people had already spoken. Bluebeard, you look like you have made a good harvest. Bluebeard is the nickname of the blue-skinned bearded man. When he heard someone asking him, he showed a trace of joy on his face, full of satisfaction. It is indeed a good harvest. The efficiency of the Wanchaiwu is very powerful. You can try it too. Ha ha ha, give me a whole set of spirit wine. If I don't drink it for 3 days, my mouth will be bland. Give everyone a set of spirit wine, I will pay for it today. A whole set of spirit wine represents 365 different flavors and styles, and one set requires one true life fragment. There are more than 100 people in the store now, and 100 true life fragments were spent this time, and everyone was shocked. Bluebeard, thank you. It seems that Bluebeard really made a great harvest this time. Otherwise, he would not treat guests with his mean character. There was a lot of discussion, and many people had some thoughts in their hearts. They are all old hands, and they have explored the death border many times, so naturally they have some gains and discoveries. But due to limited strength, they didn't dare to continue exploring, nor did they dare to find people at will. Now it seems that there are reliable helpers. Some people are ready to move, while some people have other thoughts in their hearts. In the next 2 days, the Wanchaiwu was very lively, and hundreds of people issued tasks to the Wanchaiwu. Except for Jin, because he was in charge of the contract, Lin Yi did not let him take the task. Everyone else in the store was involved in these tasks. However, there were hundreds of people who issued tasks, and these tasks were almost piled up, and even scheduled for 3 months later. The Wanchaiwu was completely busy and prosperous. However, things are not always simple and smooth. In just 1 week, major problems have arisen. Ringing. On this day, Brandy returned with blood all over his body. The moment he entered the Wanchaiwu, everyone's eyes fell on him. Lin Yi looked at the returning Brandy. Brandy's original body had already told him about the other party's experience in the past few days. This scene in front of him was deliberately done by him asking Brandy's clone. Lin Yi looked at Brandy's clone and said calmly, "What's going on?" For this mission, our employer Black Rank discovered a relic containing the essence. Originally, he and we split the profits 50-50. I worked together with him to ensure the exploration and excavation of the relic. But after breaking the various blockades in the relic, he attacked from behind and wanted to take all the results for himself. I escaped back with my true life. He probably took the harvest and went to other safe places. When Lin Yi heard this, he looked at everyone in the hall. The guests looked at him quietly, as if waiting for him to deal with it. But all this was arranged by him. The powerful execution ability of Xuanhuan has been demonstrated, and what is needed now is deterrence to make these people understand. Everyone will make a profit from fair cooperation. If you want to take advantage of it alone, you will have to face the pursuit of Xuanhuan. Lin Yi raised his hand slightly, and a contract appeared in front of him. Everyone, Helenk violated the contract. Now according to the contract, I must not only kill him, but also recover all the rewards. Everyone, just be a witness. As the words fell, a trace of true power was injected into the contract. At the same time, an invisible mysterious power burst out in Lin Yi's mind in an instant. Loading, title Savior. The next moment, the power of the true destiny on the contract instantly burst out with endless brilliance. This brilliance is so vast and endless. All the people in the entire save point felt the power of this true destiny, and looked in the direction of Lin Yi with incredible eyes. The next moment, this power disappeared out of thin air. At the border of death, on an endless land, a large number of coffins stretched endlessly forward. A figure was moving towards one direction with joy on his face. But the next moment, a faint distortion appeared on his head, and an invisible true destiny brilliance fell directly on him. He didn't even have time to react, and his whole body froze in an instant, and his smile still remained on his face. However, under the crisis of life and death, although Hacker Lan was stiff, he also knew that the crisis was coming. This is the power of the true destiny of the contract. How can it be so powerful? It's not good. The infinite true destiny brilliance rushed out from the deepest part of his heart. There were 10 different kinds of true destiny radiance, 6 of which came from his true destiny and 4 from his spirit pattern device. Whether it was for defense, escape, or attack, at this moment, all the power was unreservedly released. His body blurred in an instant, as if he was about to disappear here. A terrifying true destiny radiance seemed to be able to make everything virtual and return everything to nothingness.